It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 339. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar. Nodra.
I do not recognize that tune.
I don't know, but it's humming. Tam.
Hello.
Thalen.
Yeah, it sounded familiar, but I'm not catching it.
What will you inform us, Ash, what you were humming?
It's the start of Little Bitty Pretty One.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to have that stuck in my head.
Yeah. It's been many years since my band time.
I mean, I think the last time I heard it was Matilda. I mean, I've watched Matilda numerous times, but...
Sure.
So, sorry for missing last week. I was kind of knocked out of commission for a bit after taking my second vaccination, but
hooray!
Woo, vax!
All is better.
Yay!
I am officially vaccinated, and next Wednesday, I guess, will be the point at which it will have kicked in as much as it's going to kick in.
Nice.
Got a couple of weeks to my second, and then a couple of weeks after that, I get to have a haircut.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
I had a haircut yesterday, and it had been since I had one during this, and it was in July. So I had not had a haircut for 9-ish months.
Yeah,
I went 13 months before I broke down and got a haircut.
it's been since March of last year for me. So, and I normally get a haircut every month, and I
went into the pandemic having not had a haircut since Thanksgiving and was like, it's probably about time to get a haircut. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And then I started being like, you know what? No, I could do this. And then I got to I can absolutely not do this. Apparently, if I had kept on going, I would eventually get back around to I can do this again once I can put it into a ponytail. But that was going to be a little bit too much of a process.
I was starting to get to the point where I could put it in a ponytail, and that was scaring me. But the one haircut I managed to get was a fairly safe situation. Even at that, it's been a year and some change since I've been in most stores.
Yep.
So the problem is, okay, so here's the problem that I struggle with is I don't know, even after being vaccinated, if I'm going to feel safe going to stores yet.
Yeah.
I just don't know. It's been a year and some change, and I don't know how you get over that mental block.
I think I am going to continue following the practices that I do. Again, benefits of being where I am, most people seem to be wanting to continue following best practices.
Yeah, it's not a luxury Thalen and I have.
It's reasonably okay since I'm actually in Little Rock, and it's more, the liberals who do live in Arkansas tend to live in Little Rock or to a lesser degree in Fayetteville. So it's actually seems like mostly people are doing what they should here. But yeah,
that is not the case for me. But
I saw some people with a sign that was "End the mask mandate," and they were being made fun of by passing cars,
as is proper.
So it's not perfect, but I, on the other hand, get a haircut every 4 to 5 weeks because otherwise my hair becomes completely unmanageable. And I broke after 8 months. It was just not. I couldn't. My stylist had a spacesuit on.
Yeah, my haircut back in July. It was either the end of July or the beginning of August. I'm not real sure. I was trying to figure out when it was based on pictures. And when that was, it was a real almost hazmat suity type situation. So I was okay with that. But then, I just kept letting it go. And I figured since I have had the 2 shots and I was just waiting on the final immunity, whatever, resistance to kick in all the way, that I would be okay to go get a haircut. Because it was driving me nuts. It was just straight up driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hit...
I can pretend to be sympathetic, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm fine with ponytails. I wear ponytails all the time. Come on, guys.
There's a time gap between I can do this, it's just a ponytail, and oh god.
Yeah, it was because the beard, I can take care of the beard myself. That's fine.
Yeah.
The hair, yeah, it was not good. But other people are in worse places with their hair, so it was an opportunity, and I took it when it came up. But anyway, yeah, so I was knocked out of commission. So sorry that everyone missed. Okay, I got in on part of this discussion, but I don't know the full basis.
The 10K MMO Kickstarter.
Yeah. Which seems just ridiculous for a 10K pen and paper Kickstarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly, you can design a full-featured virtual world for $10,000. Why wouldn't you be able to? It's just code.
Anyway, the thing bringing this back up is a Kickstarter called DreamWorld, which promises to be the last game you'll ever play in an infinite open-world MMO. And their tech demo shows the default UE4 avatar running around a world that probably they didn't make.
I'm not sure if you could build
flip.
I'm not sure if you could build a full Merc Deku mud for $10,000.
Maybe you could. I don't know.
I mean, there were enough starters for that it's just creating content in it at that point that maybe you could do a Deku mud, but
yes, maintenance is where you would, But yeah,
I don't think you can get the hosting for a year for 10K.
Yeah,
but yeah, this one sticks out as being an extreme money grab. But MMO Kickstarters in general are kind of,
How many have any been successful?
So I think Crowfall was a Kickstarter.
I was going to say Crowfall was a Kickstarter.
It was, but it hasn't launched yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't failed yet.
It hasn't failed. The company still exists.
I think it's actually going to. It is actually going to launch and be a real game, which is more than you can say for a lot of these things.
Okay, wait. As someone who backed Crowfall and occasionally logs in to check on its status, it will launch. I am not sure it's going to be a game.
Oh.
What do you mean by it's not going to be a game?
It's kind of this pointless sandbox right now with interesting racial options and class options, but I'm not sure if there's a game there.
Wasn't the game go into other people's sandboxes and murder them?
Probably.
Or both people go into a different sandbox and murder each other? Something like that.
Maybe?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I question if it's much of a game.
But other MMO Kickstarters. Star Citizen.
Also not failed.
Not failed.
Yeah, I guess that is an MMO, so yeah.
Ashes of Creation.
Yeah, Ashes of Creation was the one I was about to say. And it did not fail, but they also double dipped by making a murder box battle royale game to try and tie it over. So it went for the Star Citizen idea, where if you create enough sub games, you can never launch the real game.
And to be fair, they asked for more than 10K. They asked for 750K and got over 3 mil.
Still seems a bit low to make an MMO, but I don't know.
Yeah, by an order of magnitude or so.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Although, I don't know. I mean, we've established that it takes about 4 weeks to design a character from scratch, right?
I mean, my guess was 3 to 5 quarters, but I don't know.
Yeah, my guess was around a year with multiple people working on the different aspects of it.
It's interesting. So, it puts me in mind of a conversation that I was having with Kodra earlier this week. How on the one hand, nobody outside of games knows what it takes to make games. but also there's like basically no way for them to know.
Yes.
Well, okay. So one of my favorite XKCDs that I had blown up and hanging up in my office was it's got like this tech and they're wanting to make an app, and okay, we want to make this mobile app, and every time you snap a picture, I want you to tag the photo of where it's at.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, that'll take a few minutes. Now I want you to tell me if it's a picture of a bird. And I'm going to need a full team of techs in 8 years or something like that. Unreal. And it's impossible to explain to a user what the difference is between trivial and impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and it is, but it is true. Like, game dev has infosec on a frankly ludicrous level. Like, people hide information about video games the same way like top secret clearance information is hidden.
Well, and also it feels like the times that people do like actually talk about how games are made and stuff, like it doesn't actually do them any good whatsoever.
No, that's
like,
the problem.
It's even worse for them to actually show how the sausage is made. Like that just makes the fans even angrier somehow.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, and that's kind of the role that the person that started this conversation has been trying to do, is educating the gaming public on how things work, and it has backfired on them numerous times.
Like, yeah, I kind of think most of the gaming public don't want to know. Like,
well, I mean, gaming is super toxic, and it's not that all gaming is super toxic. It's just the four horsemen of the apocalypse that ride out in front of the rest of the gaming group. They're super freaking toxic.
I mean, it doesn't take a lot of toxicity to poison a space. So,
I mean, so there's another kind of aspect to it that I think about a lot and thought about a lot, especially when I was working on stuff. Fundamentally, and like the thing that a lot of people, especially a lot of like hardcore gamers, kind of attach. They kind of attach this idea that they are good at games because games tell them they're good at them, because that's what games do.
Yeah.
Like games are designed at a fundamental level to make you feel good about your skill at them. If they're not doing that, they're failing.
Perfect example of that is I was listening to a thing from, drawing a name on the guy, but the guy behind BioShock. And I'm drawing a blank on who that is. But he was doing this interview.
Ken Levine.
Ken Levine, yeah. Where basically every time you encountered a mob in BioShock, didn't matter what the mob was, the first attack that they made would miss every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it gave you enough time as the player to react to, oh, something is shooting at me, let me turn around and draw a bead on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that you were just somehow dodging it. It was like, no, every time anything attacked you, it would always miss every single time.
And I guarantee that there was a set of gamers who pitched a fit about that because they felt like that like the game was cheating and devaluing their skill.
Well, like, I never noticed.
Yeah,
iframes exist for a reason.
Games cheat. It's what they do constantly. Yeah. Like, and I feel like that's a super important and super easy thing to miss, is that like one of the things that comes up is that in order to be a good game designer, you do not necessarily need technical skill. You do not necessarily need art skill. You do not necessarily need writing skill. You don't even necessarily need like specific stuff like level design or an understanding of game mechanics or whatever. They help, but what you need is empathy. And so you can see people, and there are people who I've worked with who I think probably every game dev has somebody they know that like doesn't even play games, has never played a game, but is an incredibly good game dev because they're just an incredibly empathetic person. And part of that empathy, part of how that empathy is used is, frankly, in manipulating your feelings about what you're doing and like making you feel good and knowing what you need to make you feel good.
Yeah. Well, and going back to games cheating, I would go out on a limb and guess that mostly games cheat in the player's favor.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Right,
those things, because it's trivial to make a game that the player can't beat. Like that's easy.
Well, I mean, the computer has perfect knowledge of where the player is and how to aim at them to hit them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you specifically have to make it like a little worse than it could technically be. It's like if I'm running a D&D game, like, yeah, I could kill the party anytime I felt like it. If my goal is to have a TPK, like I can do that thing.
That was the analogy I was going to make. I was like, some people are like, no, the DM in D&D should always play to the hilt. And if they're doing anything less, they're not respecting their players. I'm gonna go the extreme opposite direction and be like, 9 times out of 10, like I've seen DMs, and honestly, sometimes I am the DM, where like monsters can't even crit you. Monsters will never crit players.
Mm-hmm.
Just they won't. Not gonna happen. Because that's just random dice screwing your player over.
Yeah, like it is a way for a player to go from full health to dead in a single hit. I've had it happen once, and I managed to recover from it, and it ultimately like became the like overarching storyline of the entire game. But
I think
I probably wouldn't do that again.
I think there are different ways to play D&D. And I think the most popular way, which is what you are describing, is, in fact, you should cheat. Basically, as the DM, you are interested in maintaining dramatic tension and providing an interesting experience to everyone at the table. And that is, like, boy, if you're trying to play in that game and a player just, like, if a player dies and it's not narratively interesting that they're dying, then it just takes the wind out of everyone's sails. Especially in like trying to integrate that player, that new character, it like strains the fabric of it strains suspension of belief, because suddenly you have this tight-knit party and now there's just some random new person who, I see you have PC glow about you, why don't you join our party, kind sir? But there is like, and I think I am somewhat interested in this, but I know most people are not, and I think this would be a very minority, is like, I want to do like a big grindy dungeon delve where we try and do combats and people die and like for that the dice should lay where they are, like, but it should also be like the encounter should never be intentionally too hard.
Well, there's that tension between the old school grognards that came out of wargaming, which is what D&D originally, stemmed out of, and the role players.
But that's the thing.
They tend to want two different things.
It's not a war game for most people. And if you're playing D&D as a war game, fine, you can play D&D as a war game. But that's not what most people are.
I'm going to be honest, like that's why I've always created so many combat-focused characters and why they're so out of place in a lot of the campaigns that I've set in on is because I got my start playing with people that like, it's just about combat. Like D&D is a combat simulator, and we're gonna hack and slash our way through big dungeons and collect loot. And
I feel like that's
it's hard for me to get out of that mindset.
I feel like that's the natural way to start out, especially if you start playing, as a teenager. You make characters and you just roll the dungeons and you kill monsters and take their loot, and then as you develop, you get more interested in the story and branch out from that. And
honestly, like that's one of the reasons why I liked the fact that White Wolf's system was called the storyteller system, is because the one time I didn't do that necessarily was when I was playing White Wolf, because it said it there in the title. This is about an interactive story. This isn't about loot. But we ended up way off topic.
It happens.
Yeah, we do that occasionally.
What?
So, okay, so this next thing is something that we got into at the tail end of a show, but like having lived through all of WandaVision at this point and having been through 2 episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I want to address something that I think is really interesting. It's that Disney Plus is doing something that is extremely common in comic books, but to the best of my knowledge has never existed anywhere else. And that is all of these series that we're experiencing right now are one-off books.
Mm-hmm.
So like WandaVision is a complete story arc that is self-contained, and it is shaping the state of the universe or the multiverse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a one-off event book that is explaining where we are in the world post, Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of these series appear to be that. It's like, and it reminds me of the one-off comic books that have happened over the years, usually after a major event that kind of set the tone of where things are going now.
Yeah.
And
Like-
I don't think that's existed in television or anything similar before.
Yeah, because we basically, comic book movies have always been big, bombastic, fight, because that's what works on the big screen, and that's what people expect on the big screen. And so there's a tendency for people to think that's all superheroes are, but there's like so much like long-term character development and stuff going on in comic books over the past 60 years that we don't see in the movies. We've gotten some of that in the television shows and in the animated series. Like the whole DC animated universe did a lot of good stuff with that.
But like, I think the difference there is that DC animated universe is designed to be a perpetual thing.
Yeah, it was an ongoing episodic thing.
Where like those are main books.
Yeah.
These shows that we're getting through Disney Plus are just the weird little side one-off, annuals or whatever.
They feel kind of like maxi series is what they feel like to me.
Yeah.
Like WandaVision was very much based on the Year in the Life story. That was, I feel like it was a 12-issue series back in the day. I'd have to go back and check.
Well, I think like Wolverine's original solo series was like 6 episodes, something like that, before he eventually got his own book. But a lot of times that was the thing. They would run these little short-run series as a way of testing the water to see if they would get readers. And then there'd be a full series that sprung out of it.
Yeah, it was basically a way to do a story with a specific character who maybe couldn't like have they couldn't do an ongoing book for that character long term. It wouldn't have the sales, but there was enough interest for one specific story. Do it, and then if that one specific story does do a lot better than they expected, well, maybe there will be more, and that's how we ended up with something like 5 Deadpool miniseries and then an ongoing series, because it turned out that people really liked Deadpool.
Well, and there's been a bunch of like disconnected Thunderbolt series over the years.
I mean, there have been multiple series that used that name that had nothing to do with each other.
Yes. Right. There's been multiple attempts at that, but like it's really interesting.
You're actively poking me and trying to bring a rant. I can feel it.
But like, what's interesting is we've essentially had a decade and a half of individual movies that have built to a central action, and now that action is over, and like that, I feel like they're doing a good job of respecting the fact that the effect that the world has changed, but also kind of setting up for what the world is going to look like going forward.
Yeah. We're actually getting the opportunity to see, okay, what does the world actually look like now after half the population was dead for 5 years and suddenly came back? Like, what does that do? And
well, like,
we're getting some answers to that.
I mean, this has been the case so many times during the books themselves, where like you had Secret War, Secret Invasion, the actual Civil War 1 and 2, Executioner's Song, Extinction Agenda, Days of Future Past, like storylines that have long-term ramifications and they play out. But then there's always a period in the comics immediately following a major event happening that we've never seen. And I feel like these little one-off shows are that. They're giving us, this is what the state of the world now is.
Yeah, they're basically, they're setting that baseline between Endgame and I think Secret Invasion is the next big event coming, which I'm real curious to see how that's going to work, given the given that the Skrulls are somewhat different in the MCU.
Right. Well, and I think it makes a big difference that like Feige is now over Marvel, period, not just television and media or like movies, like comics too. And I think you're going to see a lot more synergy going forward. I am fully on board with some of the things that are being explored, especially in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah. I'm like, I don't want to spoil anything about these first 2 episodes, but they draw heavily on the late 70s, early 80s Captain America when Mark Gruenwald was writing. And so far they are doing an excellent job, like respecting that stuff and like actually engaging with it to the same sort of degree that he did. Because I feel like people forget how incredibly anti-authoritarian Marvel Comics felt back in the 70s in particular. Like, this is a period when a big storyline involving Captain America tracking down a like massive underground villainous organization conspiracy led him to the Oval Office, where he saw Richard Nixon shoot himself in front of him rather than be taken down as the leader of the secret empire. Like, and that was what ultimately caused a disillusioned Captain America to turn in the suit and stop being Captain America. And so we got this whole fairly long period where Steve Rogers was off being Nomad and then the Captain, and the government decided, well, we need a Captain America. We want a Captain America who will actually do what we tell us. And Val Cooper, the woman who has never made a good decision in her life, said, we should get John Walker.
Yep.
And so he was very much, I've seen all these people like on Twitter being like, hashtag not my cap. And I'm just looking at them like, that's the point.
Do you know the history?
Like, that's the whole point of this is it's like, it's the same thing as like the Batman Nightfall. You know, Batman got his back broken and Azrael took over as Batman. And the whole point was to show us like, this does not work. This is not who Batman is supposed to be. Like, he's not supposed to be this guy in this power armor with claws and like extremely violent. And it's the same sort of thing. It was a badass
looking Batman, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and which ran into that whole problem that they made him look badass, and so a lot of people missed the point of the whole thing. But it's the same sort of thing with John. It's like we've got this character who he's not necessarily a bad guy, but he is a flawed man from a conservative upbringing who tends to fall back on violence and just isn't up to the mantle that he has been given. And it's looking like that's the way they're actually playing him here, which makes me happy because I feel like there's a lot more opportunity for interesting story with that than just making him like a villain. So
yeah,
we'll see as it goes on. But
I've been pleasantly surprised at how deep it's going into the story.
Yeah.
Like, they could have done this series as a very surface level thing, but they're not. They're investigating.
They're actually thinking
about questions like
repercussions and
how do superheroes get paid, or do they even get paid?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I am so on board with like what Disney's doing with Disney Plus. I'm hoping, after seeing what they're trying to use Disney Plus for with Marvel, it kind of gives me a hope of what they're going to maybe do with it with Star Wars.
Yeah. Like, yeah, if they give us a similar sort of like universe of Star Wars miniseries, like with a similar breadth to what it looks like we're getting from Marvel, like, man, that would be amazing. I want leverage in Star Wars. That's what I want. Just give me that.
It's got to be better than what they're doing with Disney XD, right?
Abandoning Disney XD?
Mostly ignoring it.
Well, killing great shows.
Yeah, I know. It was a good. It was a good finale.
It was. It needed to be another season.
It should have been an entire another season.
Yeah. It felt like they knew where. This is the thing that's going to upset me the most about it, is they knew where they wanted to go with it.
No, they clearly knew that they were headed for this from the very first episode of DuckTales. That like this was where they were taking it. Yeah.
But they didn't have enough time to tell the story, and so they had to rush tell the story.
I would not be surprised if we see some further exploration of these characters, just not on a cable network.
I mean, we're at least getting a podcast.
We're getting a podcast,
this Duck Live, so that's something.
But like the problem, there are some character beats that we just don't get to have because they did rush the ending.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if they did get the opportunity to pick up from this point and do more stuff, like there's a bunch of character beats that just had to be smashed all into this short period of time, and there's no way to really go back and do more with those.
Yeah,
but yeah,
like season 3 was supposed to be the Huey season, and the Huey, like the payoff there, it blink and you'll miss it. They had to like kind of hurry past it. There's a really interesting thing going on there that I feel like they wanted to tell, where it's like, yeah, like you are the responsible one, you're the one who like thinks through everything. There's a real danger of you being a killjoy, and like that's the lesson that they were setting up, and you just don't get to see it at all.
Yeah, because that's absolutely what they did in the previous 2 seasons. Is they very much had Louie and Dewey learn, like, okay, you know, this is who you are, but there you have to temper it to a degree. Like each of them represents an aspect of Scrooge's personality, and there are 3 villains who each represent those aspects, those same personality aspects taken to extreme and unbalanced. And yeah, and we got to see Louie and Dewey learn to rein that in a little bit and balance it, and not go too far. And that happens with Huey, but it feels less. It just kind of suddenly happens.
Yeah, and there was supposed to be an entire Webby season that was the finale.
Yeah, I'm extra disappointed we didn't get that, because
I wouldn't give up hope. Like I have to think that Disney Plus has been terribly lucrative.
I mean,
yes,
they should have put this show direct on Disney Plus. Like,
they should have
instead of sticking it on Disney XD at weird times. You know?
Yeah, I have some other points of frustration where it's like, you know, so there were a lot of romances being hinted at in this show. And the writers have even said they really wanted to have a number of romances. And in the end, the only they had a bunch of romances, and all of them were the, like, heterosexual romances. And all of the stuff they were trying to do where they're, like, setting up queer characters to be in there got cut. And it's like, it's one of those things where we've been enjoying a period in animation, in children's animation, where there's been a lot more queer representation, and it sounds like the folks at Disney were not quite on board with that.
Yeah, like we got Lena and Violet's dads, but that's basically it.
And we saw them as background characters.
Yeah. In one episode,
literally no. I don't even think they had a speaking part in the one episode they were in.
I think they might have like cheered along with other people, but I don't think they had any specific like part themselves. No,
and like several of the show's creators were like, "Yeah, we really wanted to push for Della and Penumbra, but we're not allowed to do that."
Ah,
I mean, really, though, if you think about it, like probably all of the examples that you're highlighting are coming from two places, either Netflix or Cartoon Network.
I was
Right?
that's mostly where the other cartoons exist.
Yeah.
That's all the examples I can think of are either Cartoon Network or Netflix.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, I'm guessing that they've reached that point and Disney hasn't yet. Simple as
Where is this from? I now know. Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
that. Yeah, I'm running through my head, and everything I think of either appeared on Netflix or appeared originally on Cartoon Network.
But yeah, I do feel like DuckTales was done a disservice by being launched on Disney XD and not coming to Disney Plus until way later per season at a time when everybody is cord cutting.
Yeah, but the thing is like, in order for that show to have made it into reality, it probably started 3-4 years before it actually appeared on Disney XD. And at that point, like, Disney Plus was just a thing that was kind of rumored.
Well, but I mean, if there were rumors out here, then it had to be further along there. Like I know, so I recently saw an interview with the creator of OKKO, which is part of what is making me thinking about this, where he was talking about how, like, OKKO was supposed to launch on HBO Max. It was supposed to be an HBO Max show because of the whole Warner Brothers. It was Warner Brothers and Viacom merged. But there was that whole merger that was happening, and so, you know, HBO Max was going to come into existence and was going to have all this stuff, and then it got held up by oversight. Which, I mean, admittedly, big mergers, like, there's a whole discussion to be had on whether that merger of those giant companies should have happened. But in any case, so it ended up launching just on normal cable television at weird times, like just mixed into stuff, and it just never got the audience that it could have gotten.
I think I only ever caught one episode.
Exactly.
Of OKKO? Yeah, I only caught the first episode.
Yeah, because and like the target demographic for that, like they're not watching cable television, they're watching streaming.
On Cartoon
DuckTales
Network
launched in what, 2017? Disney Plus wasn't really a thing yet.
Yeah.
Well, like, until recently, Cartoon Network's streaming options have been kind of obtuse.
I mean, they're basically all in one place now.
Yeah, they are. And I'm fine with that.
Also, lots of old Nickelodeon shows.
Yup.
Like, there's a whole lot of You Can't Do That on Television available now, which I guess they figured out, like, the whole rights puzzle there, because, like, for the longest time, nobody knew who actually owned the rights to that. I'm guessing some people got paid a lot of money to go away. Although, how much money do you think they would be willing to pay for old episodes if You Can't Do That on Television? It's not like it was that good.
Nostalgia is a thing, man. Nostalgia
It is
a thing.
Also, Legends of the Hidden Temple.
There's nobody could ever win that show. That show was stacked so hard against its competitors.
It was. Yeah, I think that and Guts are both among the shows that were added most recently. I'm pretty sure someone on here, was it you, Ash, that said you grew up watching Guts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guts was a little new for me.
Yeah, that was towards the end of my, like, Nickelodeon watching time.
So to switch topics awkwardly, I have been playing an excessive amount of Elder Scrolls Online.
Uh-huh.
It's really good. Like, it is shocking just how much content is in this game now.
Uh-huh.
Like, it is an obsessive amount of content.
You're not even halfway through it yet.
No, I'm not. I'm not even vague. I set myself, I wonder if I can make it through all of this story content before June when the next story block drops. I don't think that's possible. Like, I do not think that's possible. And also, I am doing some nonsense right now because there's a festival with double experience buff.
I mean, the game's coming up on 10 years at this point, right? With pretty regular content.
It came out in 2014.
This year's the 7th anniversary in game, which means, Alpha started 8 years ago, so... But, it's had a pretty reliable release cadence, and that's been one of the things that I think has just quietly been there and nobody really talks about, is they release 4 content drops a year.
All of the pain it took to get the tools and the processes and everything, because getting stuff to the point where you can put out content at that pace was rough, but in hindsight, I can see how it got there.
One of the things that I dig about it is the sheer build diversity that exists in this game. Because, it's hard to fully explain. Because, so traditionally, a game like this has a handful of places where you can get the gear that you need to get. And much like Guild Wars 2, this game's been effectively geared capped since whenever the champion system first went in. Champion 160 is the max level that any gear exists in the game. And it doesn't take very long to get to champion 160. But every time they do a content drop, be it a new dungeon or a new zone, they add in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 new sets of gear with their own perks and bonuses that are unique and have a place within builds. And there's no such thing as gear specifically designed for any class. And
I remember
there's hundreds and hundreds of sets of gear, and they're all theoretically viable. I've been grinding up alts because my happy place in game is running through quests, but it also feels really weird that when I'm leveling my alts, I'm not also contributing to the champion points for my account. So I'm using the XP boost just to get characters to 50 so that they suddenly become champion rank, whatever the hell my champion rank is right now. And then I can piddle around and do quests. And
you do get your champion rank points. You get your champion
points. You get your champion points on your alts, but your levels don't contribute to champion ranks.
Sure. Do you still get, if you get to 50, do you still get 10 ranks, 10 champion points?
No. For free?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the champion points come so fast. It's
right.
I was like, I was like, I'm gonna get to 50 and then see what it's like, and then I was just tooling around and got 5 champion points. I was like, oh my, this is
especially since they've expanded the champion system. So recently they went from champion ranks being capped at 810 champion ranks to champion ranks being capped at 3,600 champion ranks.
It's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
and
big.
they on a given night of me just casually questing, I do about 10 champion ranks.
Do champion ranks slow down, or they're always flat. The same speed? Okay. Yeah, I felt like I was burning through those.
There may be some kind of a pacing until you get to 160, but 160 is the point at which you're basically hitting the gear cap. And I went into this with 380 or so when they did the champion rank thing, and I've seen no difference in champion levels from, I think I'm 440-ish or so now.
Didn't that rework also cause them to rebalance how champion points are spent, though?
Yep. Everybody got wiped. All the champion points were redone.
So
totally redone.
Did things become much more expensive?
Yes. Across the board, but there's more options now.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things that are available through champion ranks that just weren't available. So I don't know, I guess it's the equivalent of when they do a gear or a level squish in another game. It made room for more levels, but also the levels do more stuff. I didn't notice an effective power difference. I can still take all the same stuff that I could take before they redid champion levels, even though it feels like I'm able to buy less stuff.
I think one of the major changes to the revamp was to limit the number of different things you could spend champion points on at once or something. such that you can, like, you stop growing in vertical power at a certain point.
Oh, because you have to slot your champion points?
Something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I suspect we might be playing very different games, though, Belle.
Oh.
Well, I am currently playing in a city adventure simulator in which I go around and I steal stuff from nobles and then run from guards.
Oh, so you're doing the Thieves Guild quests, I guess?
I'm doing Thieves Guild quests.
I still haven't done those.
The breadth of content. I have a character that is entirely just go around and do sneaky things. And much like actually playing Skyrim. I'm perfectly content just doing that with that character.
Yeah, this character is going to be a stealthy character. This is my Dynar character. It's going to be confusing that he has this name, but don't worry.
Anybody ever bug you in game for having that name?
No, well, this character is brand new, so not yet, but we'll see.
I mean, there's a perfectly good reason for that.
But I am... I'm really enjoying that. I have not gone into a dungeon, and I am nervous, too. This game feels like I don't understand how dungeon content works, and, like, maybe I shouldn't go in for my first time on a tank.
I've not done a dungeon yet either, just because the stars have not aligned for me to do that. But the trade guild I'm in is constantly having people asking for various roles. And at some point I will do that thing because they seem pretty chill.
Are the roles tank, healer, DPS, or are there new magical roles that I don't understand?
Nope. It is the 3 roles.
Okay.
Like, it is the same roles that we have been dealing with forever.
Cool.
But I don't know for certain. Like, all I know is as a tank, I seem to be able to hold aggro extremely well.
Well, you have incredibly good taunts. Like, you could perma-taunt something.
But, like, just when I'm running around the world, the only thing on my bar that's a taunt is the armor debuff, and it seems to be enough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I should have spec'd that as the armor debuff. I spec'd that as the give me more protection, and it seems like...
Yeah. I mean, okay, so paying for just morphs is pretty cheap.
Is it?
If you ever want to change that, yeah. Morphs are specifically cheaper than any of the other options. That way you can switch back and forth. But, so is yours a Dragonite as well? For your tank?
No, it's a sorcerer.
Oh, then I don't know what ability you're using. Oh, I guess it is.
Puncture.
It's a sword and shield.
Yeah, it is in the sword and shield ability. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so for the most part, when I'm quote unquote world tanking, I just run around with puncture on my bar and charge, and then a bunch of DPS abilities from the flame tree that I've morphed to be acid attacks since it's the stamina variant, and then green dragon blood because it is still ungodly overpowered.
I mean, I'm doing a slightly different thing. I'm very resilient. Clan fears are great.
Also,
I have heard that
button, if you press it again, is a huge heal.
I've
if you
heard
press the clan fear button again, it's a giant heal.
Oh, it's a massive heal.
I've heard that Sork tanks are phenomenal at, like, AoE tanking.
Probably because we have... I don't know why that would be. We don't have an AoE taunt, and I don't know that... Is damage a threat generator? Does threat exist?
I think it is.
But it's probably because of in case.
Oh, because we can hold people in place?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Lock them down. Like, I can do that with choking talons, but not for very long.
Yeah, in case is pretty good.
And choking talons is, I think, limited to 3 targets.
I know in case has been a problem in PvP, so it's been nerfed a bunch of times, but I have no idea what its current state is.
All I know is that I can comfortably solo all public dungeons.
Well,
issue.
yeah, that is also not a problem for me. I feel ludicrously overpowered compared to when I played this game at launch. I remember I used to just die to like random packs because I wasn't quite paying enough attention. And now I run around and pull like 6 packs in the world and AoE them all down. But I think that's just because they got rid of, like, everyone scales to the same level.
That's
right.
Part of it.
That helps.
But also, you know how to play the game now.
Maybe?
You know the visual cues.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also, they made a bunch of changes that are really nice. Like for example, like the charge from the Sword and Board line, it didn't used to interrupt. It used to just charge to the target, and I think you couldn't do it in combat previously. But now with the morph I have, it gives me an overshield, and it also interrupts. So like, I just don't ever interrupt anything normally anymore. I just charge them.
Oh, interesting.
Like, because it gives me an overshield. Like, why wouldn't I want more health and also interrupt?
Similarly, I mean, to a different extent, also, when the game came out, the paradigm for what is an MMO was very different.
Oh, that's true.
And, like, we've gotten used to playing lots of different games since then.
Well, but also, like, ESO has kind of evolved into this very weird insular ecosystem. Like, so the other thing that happened this week is I have been exploring the trade aspect of the game, and I joined a big trade guild and have been selling stuff. And I have learned that ESO shares at least one thing in common with Warframe, in that crowns can be used significantly better than sometimes buying stuff off the shop. Because there is this entire underground economy of gifting for gold that is apparently fully accepted by Xenomax. So, and like there's official exchange rates that this cartel basically maintains, to where, like, if you are wanting something in that costs crowns on the store, it will cost you X number of gold to get that thing. And they act as a brokerage system between players who want a thing but have no money to spend on crowns, and people who have excess crowns but would like some gold.
I also know that the economy in this game is comical. Like, it's
interesting.
It is fascinating. I was in Bankurai and somebody was... I didn't even realize this. I actually was like, oh, that sounds great. He was like, want to buy Columbine for 300 gold. And I was like, wow, okay. Like, I know I have a lot of Columbine. That seems like a lot of gold. And then somebody immediately after them is like, I too would like to buy Columbine for 300 gold, but you're supposed to pay 700 gold for it. Don't you know?
Yes. That is the most interesting thing. Like people will come in and correct them when you aren't paying enough for something in an open zone chat.
Yeah, if somebody is trying to scam in zone chat, they're like, the people in the cartels will be like, that's cute that you're trying to scam people. Here's what the actual price should be.
Right. And they'll paste it from Tamriel Trade Center. Okay, so like, I feel like this is a thing that is worth talking about. Elder Scrolls Online has no auction.
No central auction house.
Instead, every week, trade guilds bid on guild traders that are scattered throughout the world. And some of them are in really weird places. Like down in the sewers in a thieves guild. And there is a add-on and a TSR that runs in your taskbar that interacts with it, that basically like will update prices on things. And I use this for selling things. Basically, when I get a drop, it will tell me roughly what it should be worth, with like a high and a low and what the average price has been. so I know whether or not is this worth my time to take up one of my 30 slots on the guild seller, or do I just vendor this?
How do you? So you're okay. So no, you're putting it on your trade guild seller.
Yeah. So I put it up on my trade guild store, and then every week they bid on a vendor that is located somewhere in the world. Like most recently, ours has been located in Solitude in Western Skyrim.
I wonder if the traders in Ralka still go for ridiculous amounts.
Ralka and Deshaun are the most expensive traders because
I was going to say the traders in Morrowind or in Morrowind City are great.
Right, because...
Or Mournhold, rather.
Yeah, Mournhold and Ralka are the most expensive because the traders basically encircle the Way Shrine. So there's a website, Tamriel Trade Center, where you can go basically look up an item, and it will show everyone that is listing that item, when they were last seen by someone running the add-on, and what the price is, and where they're actually located in the world. So that's what I do if I actually need something. But like, it's a slow trickle where basically like every day I'm selling an item or two. Well, so I am not making big money, but like,
can anyone purchase from there?
Yes,
anybody can purchase from any of the guild traders. You just have to physically go to the location of the guild trader.
I feel like I keep finding all of these guild traders that are just completely depopulated of items.
Oh, they do not. Search does not auto-populate. You have to actually tell it to search.
Oh, okay.
It's not like so the like WoW AH, when you open it, auto-populates with just every item, and then you can run filters. This one does not auto-populate.
Can I even run like just top-level filters in here?
Yeah, you can just hit search right from the start.
Okay, cool.
It's not going to be necessarily super helpful, but you can.
Well, it means I'll be able to like... It felt like there was just nothing on there. I was like, why am I even bothering with this? Okay, cool. I will start engaging with that, and maybe I'll see if Bell can get me an invite to his trade guild.
It's an open guild. I'm in a group called Pilfering Pillagers. The main reason, or Pilfering Peddlers. Yeah, it's the guild leader is a cat. So the main reason why I went with that one is a lot of trade guilds have a sales minimum per week, because the trade guild gets a cut of every sale that's made in the guild.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're using to fund buying the vendor every week. But this one doesn't have a minimum. Now, that is a little bit of a misnomer. You have to make at least one sale a week.
Okay.
In order to stay in. And the only reason why they're doing that now is because apparently the most recent patch broke their ability to see if somebody is active in the guild. It's no longer reporting like when the last time somebody logged in was. So they're using a single sale per week as kind of an equivalency of you're active. But like stupid things sell really quickly. Like all the stupid patterns that you pick up in the world. If you already have it, just throw it up on the I usually put it up on the vendor for 100 gold. Because they'll vendor for like 20 gold. I'll put them up for 100 gold. And within the hour, they're almost always sold. Like items is what I tend to have the most of to sell. And that's a little bit of a harder sell because like, you have to be building a set for a specific piece. I found some zones that I could farm in that would be more lucrative. Because there's some builds that are, more popular than others, but like when I was leveling through Clockwork City, there were a couple of the items there that sold really well. But it's weird. This game has the weirdest community. Like, it is not toxic. It is actually mostly rather helpful. It is weirdly protective of people that they don't even know. Like the whole thing with like people trying to get away with not paying enough in open chat.
Yeah, especially in Bankerai, there's a lot of people who are like, I don't have the, like, they probably don't have the app, and they're like, can I get a price check on this item? And then somebody will respond with it from TTC.
Yep. Yeah, because it's very obvious when you see a TTC posting, because like it's formatted a specific way. I'm staggered at the sheer amount of random stuff to do in the game.
It's really fun.
Like, you know, the Thieves Guild quests are vastly different than anything else in the game, and you can do that as an entire play style if you want.
Yep.
You know?
I am stealing stuff and either laundering or fixing it.
The funny thing is like I steal a ton of stuff too, but just not those quests. Like I do not like doing the daily stealth quest for the dude in the Thieves Guild, where like if you get seen, you fail. But like right now, there's the Jesters quest event, and then apparently immediately following it is going to be another event that's for the anniversary.
Is there going to be as much XP boosts?
Yeah,
Probably.
same XP boost.
Oh, nice.
So we're basically going to have like 3 or 4 weeks in a row where we've got this XP boost.
That's great.
And it's just an item that you use, and it's 2 hour long each time you use it. If you are super tryhard about XP boost, you can get up to 500% XP boost.
That involves cooking, right?
It involves cooking, and it involves a crafted purple set of training gear.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing that first thing, and I'm probably not doing the second thing either.
I have been burning through the bajillion XP scrolls that I've gotten over time.
Yeah, I have that too.
And then using the pie boost as well, and the combination thereof is making me fly through levels.
Yeah, I've been doing the same thing. I was 29 3 days ago, and now I'm 40, running double pie and scroll.
Wait, how do you double pie?
Like
with the cooking pie?
And pie and scroll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can do pie, scroll, and either a food or drink. But those the XP food and drinks are just ungodly expensive. Like the ambrosia is going for about 300K a piece. I think each one's worth about 2 hours, but like, yeah,
that's an order of magnitude more money than I have.
I only have like 200K on my Dragonite.
That's also an order of magnitude more money than I have.
Well, like Bells and Zoo are clearing like 3 or 4 million gold a week in sales on the vendors. Like, I don't know. Honestly, the real way to make money in this game is by selling the legendary materials.
Yeah. I don't know how you get those.
Through disenchanting items or deconstruction of items.
Okay.
But okay, so weird thing about this game. I said there's a bajillion sets in the game, and that is not wrong. Like there's so many sets. Every dungeon has 1 or 2 sets.
Like there's
every zone,
multiple hundred sets now.
Yeah, like multiple hundred sets, and they're all viable. But the interesting thing about it is, like, you can run a normal dungeon, and normals drop greens and blues, but like those greens and blues, because of the way the crafting system works, can be turned into legendaries without any issue. It's just applying upgrade materials to it. So if you're looking to kit out a character in a set, most people just grind dungeons, like normal dungeons, if they're wanting a set piece out of a dungeon. And then they'll turn it up from a blue to a purple to a legendary. And as a result, those pieces are forever going to be valuable. But I do, one of the things that I like about the way that their sets work is specific set pieces drop in specific locations. So it's not just like, if you're looking for a specific thing, you can do a specific kind of activity in a zone and it will drop the thing. Like I am grinding Dark Anchors right now, and Dark Anchors drop a extreme amount of jewelry. So if you need jewelry, do Dark Anchors. If you want weapons, do a Delve. Is like the final boss in a Delve drops weapons. The other thing that I find really weird is I remember at launch, people avoided Alakir like the plague. I don't know what it was about the zone, but like nobody was in Alakir, and it may have just been
my
that
first character stopped.
yeah, like it may have just been far enough in that people were hitting the end, but nobody wanted to level in Alakir. Now Alakir is basically the greater Feydark of Elder Scrolls Online. I shit you not.
You're dating yourself with that reference, Bell.
Greater Feydark was the zone in EQ in East Commonlands that everyone went to trade anything.
Oh, it seems like Bankurai has been that also.
Well, okay, so the reason why everyone is in Alakir is it has the unique characteristic of having 3 dolmen that are right beside 3-way shrines. And as a result, if you are leveling, people run a circuit of those 3 dark anchors. So by the time you finish one, the furthest one in sequence will be respawning. So you can just run circuit. And this is how I've been leveling so quickly, is I'm just doing dark anchors. And it has a bunch of benefits, like you get a bunch of materials, you get a decent amount of gold, and if you make sure you unlock your Fighters Guild before you go here, you will be max Fighters Guild long before you finish leveling. And people just have pickup groups out here, and they're running an add-on called Auto Invite. So if you go into a zone and you see people saying either X, Y, or Z, chances are they're fishing for an auto group, because that tends to be the trigger that most people set for an auto group.
Okay, yes, I have seen this.
And a lot of times it's not limited to Alakir. Like a lot of times people will be running the dolmen in all the zones. Like there's a house that I own in Bankurai, and it is right beside a way shrine. And if I am somewhere in the world far away from a way shrine, I teleport over to that house and then pop out and take the way shrine. And if that dark anchor is up, there's always people at it. And I'll pop over and kill it real quick before I go to the way shrine.
I remember not being able to solo dark anchors for a little while, and then my character became a werewolf.
Werewolves and vampires are real strong.
I have realized I did not. It's one of those things where like I have absolutely no frame of reference for my own knowledge of the game. But I do know that I've run into I do know that I can clear at least 2 standard dungeons without much difficulty.
Like public dungeons or instance dungeons?
Instance dungeons.
Huh.
There's a Dragon Knight build that's vampire based that is basically unkillable.
There was one boss I couldn't deal with.
My problem always as a tank is I'm real sturdy, but like I'm not killing anything very fast.
That is my challenge, trying to level one hand and sword.
Light attacks. You use more light attacks.
I'm using a lot of light attacks.
Well, and also weave. So
I am weaving.
Yeah, like this is just a general comment for anybody that might be looking to pick up ESO. You want to do this thing where you swing a light attack, then immediately hit a hotbar ability, then immediately hit a light attack because it does some animation canceling.
Yeah, it's possible to animation cancel your light attacks with your abilities. You can get out a lot of extra damage by doing this repeatedly.
Yeah.
Heavy attacks are for regaining stamina / magicka and or knocking down people you've knocked off balance.
Yeah, and I don't know if guarding generates aggro, but like it seems like once I get a mob on me, they just stick to me forever. And I'm spending all my time blocking or doing heavy attacks to regenerate stamina. Because especially in Somerset, I spent a lot of time tanking 3-pip bosses. Just a bunch of them.
Whatever zone had the Minotaurs in it was a bit of a wake-up call for me.
Yeah, it's Gold Coast. It's the Dark Brotherhood questline zone.
Yeah.
I definitely can't do anything about the world bosses for the most part, although I can duo them.
The world bosses are a little harder than like even the public dungeon bosses.
Yeah. I can take. I've run into one or two that I can't take on my sorcerer, but they're rough.
If I can get anyone that does damage, I am good. Honestly, like, there was a shift though when you get to Somerset. They have like damage shields that take a long time to chew through. Also, some of them have health regen that, like, you realistically need a party there to do those. There is a difference between the dungeons that shipped with the game and the dungeons that came in with the expansions. I know the expansion dungeons tend to be a little harder. I don't know. I'm having a freaking blast. I mean, there's so much just random stuff to do.
I love that this game has somehow introduced a version of tag that I get to play with a base. Don't wander away too far from home base. Always keep a path open to yourself. Also guard suppress stealth.
I kind of want to play around with PvP. And I realize it's like I'm playing a Necro right now as a finger wiggler, and I'm talking about maybe playing PvP. I don't know who I am anymore.
Okay, wait a second. So I'm now curious. Because how much trouble do you get in with the law just being a necromancer?
A lot. Every attack, literally every attack says, this is a crime.
It's not like every attack.
Most of them.
Most of them. It's all the ones that you're excited about.
Like, I have to be, like, I can't run around with skeleton out. But, like, whatever. I'll probably be a vampire on this character because it feels like it thematically fits.
Also a crime.
Yes. Vampire abilities are also crimes. At some point, they made vampire abilities crimes, and turning into a werewolf is now also a crime.
I love the crime system in this game. It's like, yeah, all right. Let's make this a little interesting.
Well, and the best thing about the Thieves Guild, though, is, like, as you get higher in it, you start getting ways of dealing with those.
Well, of course. you gotta grease the skids. You know the ins and outs of the guards rotation now. You know which ones are corrupt and which ones you can buy off for the cheap.
So, I will say, the house that I currently have set as my primary residency is one of the big mega houses. If you get in trouble, teleport over to my primary residency. There is a way into the Thieves Guild from the house.
I don't understand the housing system, but that seems surprising to me.
There's a back door from the house into the Markarth Thieves Guild.
There are a variety of houses with particular special features.
I should look into those more. I bought a house. I use that term loosely, but I guess for reference, I have a really, really weird account in that I have like the lifetime dev account, which on the one hand, I can have whatever I want from the store. On the other hand, which is in like, this is relatively standard fare for an MMO, and especially one with a cash shop or whatever. But like, I can't gift anything on the store under any circumstances. Not surprising. But like, nothing actually costs me anything on the store. So I can try everything out on the store, which is it's kind of an interesting like space to be in. But I appreciate that I can still just hop in and play the game.
Yeah, the main reason why I set that particular house to my primary residency is for that feature if anybody needs it. Because, like, there are times where you are carrying a lot of stolen merchandise, and it would be real unfortunate if you happen to get caught by a guard.
Oh, man.
Those times are always. Yeah.
Just run.
Just run.
Come
on. Just gonna book it.
But if you ever need to fence, you can easily get to a fence that way.
Yeah. That's super helpful.
I like the bit where you get XP for fencing in addition to money.
I have laundered too many items today.
Why are you laundering items?
So that I can have them clean.
Okay. Like, well, I guess the question is, what are you actually laundering that is worth more to have clean than to fence?
Well, if I
Are you talking
want
about
to,
like the pardon writs and stuff like that?
no. Well, pardon writs are one thing, but if you want to put your resources into your crafting bag, you like if I've got apples, I want to launder my apples.
Okay, yeah, I get it. I get what you say. That is almost never worth my time.
Yeah, like
since there's enough open chests in the world, like that I can just get resources for free.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of stealable things. I steal from everything. Every chest is mine. See, you're limiting yourself, Bell.
I know.
You're limiting yourself to only half of the chests in the world. I, the enlightened one, know that all chests belong to me.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I just laundered a variety of fruits. Also, like,
I feel like the dude that's doing this for you is probably giving you some major side eye. Like, really,
the dialogue from fences is generally hilarious,
and every fence is a little different. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so every town in this game has a thieves guild in it, and every fence has a couple of unique dialogue lines. Like, I'm real familiar with all these thieves guilds because I duck into them all the time, but I tend to buy my way out of shame. My problem is murderer sprees. That's what gets me in trouble with the law.
Wait, what? Are you Dark Brotherhood?
I
would
am.
Not be.
I am, but if a quest wants me to stealth around, I usually just kill my way to the objective.
Wow.
And you can rack up a decent fine doing that.
I guess you are still Bell.
I am still Bell. Like, I am still the murder hobo you all love.
I mean, I'm not even Dark Brotherhood. I'm going to be. Like, that's next step. But like this character is a little bit of a challenge because I woke up in the island that the starter island for Dunmer, Bleak Rock, something like that, and then found the first Wayshine, went to a city, and found the Thieves Guild. I have, like, every bit of leveling I have done is from Thieves Guilding quests. I have not done any proper stuff. And I'm a little light on skills, and I'm probably going to end up spending a lot of crowns on other people's skill shards. But I just wanted to experience the Thieves Guild and see what it's like. It's fun.
It's a perfectly valid way to play the game. Like, and Zoo was going to have a night of thievery one of these nights. Like, she was organizing an event to basically, like, go around the world and steal stuff from some of her favorite places. Mostly, I check backpacks and large sacks because I'm looking for patterns. Of the things I can steal, those are the things I care about the most. I'm an Omnicrafter.
I'm going to probably start Omnicrafting a little bit.
I think my research in a few things is complete on some characters, but apparently in order to get a set item of a particular trait, you need to have research on that character.
Yes. Well, yeah, if you want to craft it on a specific character, you have to have it research on that character.
I mean, to pull it out of the set collection system that they just added.
Oh, yeah, but you can pull out an item on any character.
Oh, right, because things don't bind to bind to your account.
They go to your bank, so just dump it in your bank. And like,
Yep.
I can't tell you how nice it was that last night I finished leveling the Warden, and all I did was hop over to my main, hit a couple of crafting centers in the world, and within a few minutes I had a end game set of gear for this character, and I'm now up and running and functional.
Oh, how do you have so much legendary stuff?
I don't sell anything other than the couple of things that are useful. Okay,
I don't either.
You know how much I kill.
I don't have those kind of legendary mats.
You know how much I kill, right?
It's fair.
I'm constantly going back to Shornhelm because Shornhelm is the town that I effectively live in because everything is close to the Way Shrine. And I go over there and I deconstruct everything. But I've also got points into all the crafting trees.
Yeah, I have one character that's my Omnicrafter, and that's where I'm sticking.
Yeah, and I honestly, you get a lot of legendaries off of refining materials. So I will deconstruct on any character just because it gets them levels too. But I never refine anything other than on my main, because it all goes into the crafting bag, so it doesn't really matter. Everybody's collecting it, but then I refine it all in one character so that it gets the benefit of all of my bonuses towards getting good materials.
I'm setting up a different character to be my Omnicrafter and having them deconstruct everything.
Right now, my plan is to level all of the crafts on my characters through deconstruction, because all I really want is the ability to get the glowing reminder that there's materials nearby.
Oh, yeah.
That way every character can see everything across the game. I really wish that was something that you could unlock at an account level. That way everybody can see every resource, not just the crafter. Anyway, I think we've gone over time. Any final thoughts?
Werewolves are cool.
Like, it's really weird that like there's a bunch of people that I know that all spontaneously started playing Elder Scrolls Online at the same time.
I believe about a year ago, I played a little bit on a new character because I got warded and I was like, I want to check out Elder Scrolls Online. I think it was at the tail end of another like thing where people were doing, and I was having a blast, but people were kind of petering out on it, which is a pattern that our group does. And I was like, the next time we get into this, I am joining the wave because this game is fun.
Like, okay, so Grace will talk about WildStar being that game that she pines for, that she wished she could still play. Like for me, Elder Scrolls has been that game, and I have quietly returned to it a bunch of times over the years.
You should stop quietly returning to it, Belle.
I go there and play some story and run some dungeons, and I'm happy for a little bit, and then another shiny object comes along and distracts me.
Isn't this what the van is for?
This is what the van's for. The irony, though, this time, all the recruits have come through Zoo and Bells. Like, they're recruiting people.
You jumped on someone else's van this time.
Well, I was already back and playing. I just didn't realize they were also playing too. Yeah, so like this has been an interesting scenario, but like, you know, I mean, Guild's been sitting here forever, so might as well have people in it. But yeah, like I would definitely suggest a trade guild. There's a couple reasons. So one, obviously you need access to a guild trader. Two, one of the interesting perks of this game is that you can right click and travel to any character. If you are in a large cattle call guild of like 500 people, there's a good chance that at any given moment, there is a person in a zone you want to go to, especially for alts.
And it doesn't cost any gold?
It doesn't cost any gold, and it will send you to a way shrine near that player.
Oh, that's great.
And then you can, at that point.
If it sends you to a way shrine, can't you just teleport to anyone if you need to get to a way shrine and then teleport to somewhere else?
Yeah, but like on your alts, especially when you don't have way shrines in zones unlocked, it's real handy to be able to port around.
I mean, my big thing is I always like that is handy just from the perspective of I want to be able to get back to a city to dump stuff off, which is usually what I'm doing.
I've considered just picking up the merchant in the ground store because that seems like it would be worth it.
I have wasted some money because I've stayed subscribed to ESO Plus, and over time they rack up a lot. And I bought the first set of Banker and Merchant, and it was great. And then they released Adorable Khajiit Kitten, Merchant and Banker, and I had to have those too. So I have both.
Oh, are these like portable bankers and
merchants? And then unlike other games where those things exist, there's no resummon time. You can just summon them whenever the hell you want to, and they're account wide.
I'm gonna have to look at that.
They're expensive. Like,
Yeah, they are.
they're really expensive. But when you've played for years and not canceled ESO Plus, and you're getting an allotment of crowns every month, like, you can buy some really stupid stuff.
I was gonna say, you say they are really expensive, but they're not that. Like, whatever. That I have a whole bunch of crowns not doing anything. That's probably worth it. Is it one character or is it for all characters?
All characters.
Oh my goodness.
Collections are pretty great.
And I can just have a tiny, adorable kitten banker?
Yes. That
Okay.
sounds like a Khajiit.
Tiny,
It's the
adorable
best
kitten
thing
banker.
ever. Like, there's a reason why I bought them, and even though I already had the other version.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
supposedly...
wow, you weren't kidding. I didn't realize they... Okay, sure, whatever.
They're Khajiit kittens.
Because
Like,
Khajiit are weird.
5,000 crowns is, like,
This
that's
is decent junk.
It's for, like, a little over 3 months worth of crown accumulation. Because what, you get $16.50 per month, I think, for being subscribed?
Yeah, but it's $40.
Okay.
Like, that's what you're paying is $40 for 5,500 crowns.
Yeah, but I consider the crowns that I am getting almost to be gravy.
Right.
For
Like,
ESO Plus.
if you're
Yeah.
subscribing, then yeah, you're gonna get crowns, and they're gonna stack up, and that's one of the better uses of crowns.
Because now
I'm
that
just pointing out that reasonable sized houses are cheaper than these things.
Oh, okay. I guess my perspective is a little bit skewed, but my viewpoint is now very skewed in that I'm never going to play this game without the crafting inventory.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, there's never a time when I'm not playing with ESO Plus, because endless crafting vault that's across all characters. Yeah, no, that's worth every penny.
No, well, so I did play this. I tried to play this the free the last time. I was like, man, it feels like I am doing a lot of inventory management here. And I remember people being like, you really need ESO Plus. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do it. And by the time I got around to even thinking about it, everything was petering out. And I was like, all right, this time, first thing, going to get ESO Plus, see what that does. Oh, my goodness. Game changer. Oh, incredible.
Right, like, you just loot every box, because you're going to use these materials eventually.
Yeah.
Unless they're cooking materials.
What are you talking about? My best professions on my sorcerer are cooking and alchemy.
I'm gonna give you a rude awakening. Like higher zone content it's basically balanced around you always having a food buff.
Sure.
That's interesting because, like, okay, what do you mean by higher zone content? We're going way over time.
Yeah, but like dungeon content, especially the veteran content.
Okay.
Trials, that sort of stuff.
I guess
yes, that makes sense.
It's enough in that I have add-ons that will warn me anytime I engage a 3-pip that I should have a food buff. Like, food is pretty cheap and it all lasts 2 hours roughly. And that's one thing I like about ESO versus other games, that, like, the timers don't tick down while you're offline. So it's playtime, 2 hours of playtime.
It also means that I'm very, like, anytime I can, I log out. Like, if I'm going to leave my computer for any reason, I'm logging out. Preserve some of those seconds.
Which is a whole new leaf for Kodra.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyway.
Well, I'm not logged out of the game, don't worry. Let's not. You still see I'm logged in all the time.
Yeah, I know. I just wish our play times overlapped more.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, we're way over, so I'm gonna cut it off. Great game. Check it out if you've not checked it out in a while. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the future because reasons. Hopefully, you enjoy the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.